1-800-449-8686. And now, Phil Hendry.
Larry Grover joins us from Conservatives of Kern County. We're waiting for the president's speech. Can you tell me, Larry, I know that you've been divorced for a few years now. How long has it been?
It's been 4 years, Phil.
Now, you had an affair, didn't you?
I did. And I can tell you something, that my wife, Marcy, and I would still be married today if she had not continually brought it up, continually made me feel guilty about it, and continually busted my rocks on this thing. I think that when a man has an affair and the woman finds out about the affair, the best thing for women to do is to just forgive and forget and move forward. But they never let you forget. And how long do you think, I'll give you an example, Phil, how long do you think Kathy Lee Gifford has been breaking Frank Gifford's balls over that thing with the airline stewardess? Or Elizabeth Hurley and Hugh Grant?
But there's no justification for having an affair, and what you're saying is that if women keep pushing men and making them feel guilty about the affairs they have, are you saying that they're asking to be killed?
No, I'm not saying they're asking to be killed, but I'm telling you something. There was a psychologist in the earlier part of the century.
Well, that's what you're saying.
No, but there was a psychologist named Adler. The Adler theorem hypothesizes that you can push somebody to the point of homicide. And a lot of women, they find out that their man has had an affair, and for some reason they can't find the strength inside to shut up about it. They walk around the house looking hurt. Suddenly you walk upon her sitting alone on a rainy day crying to herself, or the one thing that is the most insulting thing, I think, suggesting the two of you go to couple counseling, which I think is insulting.
What's wrong with that?
I think it's insulting. I think it.
Why? Why is that insulting? If you had an affair and your wife caught you having the affair and she suggests couple counseling and you love her, why wouldn't you go to couple counseling?
I think it shows you're weak. I think the two people should be strong. You're in this together. You're married together. And you let me tell you something, Phil. I strayed. My wife never let me forget it. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that if she just had shut up about it, she and I would still be married today.
When you strayed, what was this a love affair of long standing?
I was in Mexico with some golf buddies. Some guy brought in a couple of girls from Ensenada, and I wound up taking a shower with one of them. And she said it was $100. It was the price was right. And I don't know whether you understand what I'm talking about, but I slipped. All right. And my wife found out about this.
So it was a prostitute.
It was a prostitute from Ensenada. And I wound up taking a shower with this gal, and I asked her how much, and she said $100, and I said, why not? All right. I'm a man. I slip. It happens. But now my wife, I come back to the States. She finds out about it.
How did she find out?
I had contracted gonorrhea. And I had...
Did your wife get this from you?
Let me explain something, Phil.
No, did your wife get gonorrhea from you?
Yes, she did. I'm not proud of that. But the fact is, I tried to get her to believe that she picked it up off a toilet seat at the fitness center, and she wasn't buying that. So I didn't want her to be hurt. I didn't want her to know.
So you lied about how she got gonorrhea. Did you have it?
I had it, but I was being treated secretly by my doctor. And my wife would ask, well, why aren't we having sex? Anyway, I don't want to get off the point. The point is that...
You gave your wife gonorrhea after screwing around with a prostitute in Mexico, and you're saying that because your wife wouldn't let you alone and let you forget this betrayal of fidelity, that she was asking to be killed.
I'm saying some women are going to push a man. Look, Phil, the problem here is not my indiscretion. It's the fact that my wife wouldn't shut up about it. Look, I admit I made a mistake, but compared to her just... blah, 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 la, 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 every GD effing day, listening to her mouth. You know, a guy slips.
Well, what was she doing? I mean, what was she just bellyaching?
Oh, she'd say things like, I'd like to get a new car, but I guess you don't have enough money anymore after spending it on a hooker. It would be wonderful if my husband would take me to dinner, but since you have had another woman, maybe you'd like to ask her out. Stuff like that. constantly breaking my balls on this. And
I got to ask you, Larry, to not use those kinds of street terms, if you wouldn't mind.
I apologize, Phil, but it doesn't. You have to deal with it, and you have to deal with it together.
Why don't you leave her?
It doesn't matter. You still have to deal with her if you have joint custody of the kids.
And you're speaking from some experience on this, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I slipped in Mexico.
All right, our number is 1-800-449-8686. I really don't want to reference anything in the news, but you're basically saying that if a woman keeps bothering a man about him being unfaithful to her...
That's correct.
He's going to kill her.
Some guys are pushed to homicide, right. And I remember my wife standing at the sink with her back to me, and she was going on and on and on about this prostitute in Ensenada. And I had a wrench in my hand because I was tightening some bolts in the bottom of the kitchen chairs. And she had her back to me, and I had this crescent wrench. And I remember thinking, it just take a little tap, and my problems are over. I don't have to listen to this morning, noon, and night.
So you're on my show today to tell women what?
According to many psychologists, if you nag a man too much about some affair he had, he might want to kill you. So for your own safety, I would shut up, move on, and let it go.
All right, 1-800-449, according to some psychologists, but not all.
Not all, but some psychologists, yes. The point is that if you cheat on a woman and you let her know about it, she will badger you to the day you die. That's why I think that a lot of guys shouldn't say anything. Just deny it, lie about it, whatever you can do, don't admit it.
All right, 1-800-449-8686, 1-800-449-8686. Let me tell you one other option.
Yeah?
Don't cheat on your wife.
You know, Phil, it must be wonderful being, a saint.
I'm not a saint, Larry. I'm not a saint at all. I'm just saying, know the consequences before you act. Don't cheat on your wife.
It must be nice being you. It must be nice.
I'm not saying I'm better than you.
Well, you're making that intimation. In other words, I'm a piece of garbage because I cheated on my wife. Is that it?
I didn't say that at all, did I? I just said there's another option. Don't cheat on your wife.
Well, a lot of us do. A lot of American men do. And I'm trying to tell the wives, don't bug him about it and break his castanets about it, because he's going to find himself with a crescent wrench in his hand one day, and you're going on and on and on, blah, 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 blah. You screwed this prostitute, blah, 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 like that Gifford probably does with Frank Gifford, and he's going to think, just a little tap, and my problems are over.
Murder.
Yes, sir.
Did you think about murder? You told me you thought about murdering your wife. Now she's moved out of the house.
She's moved out of the house. She has my kids. I tried to make it work, but she just kept running her mouth.
Your idea of making it work, though, Larry, is for her to just forget about it and you guys move on.
That's exactly correct. It was the best way.
She suggested couple counseling.
I'm not going to go to any couple counseling. All she has to look at, I said to her, I'm sorry I gave you gonorrhea. I'm sorry for everything. Please accept my apologies. And she said, okay. Then she turns around and starts breaking my nuts on this thing for 3 years. The problem, Phil, is if women had more strength, the whole thing wouldn't be a problem.
Guys cheating on women.
Yes. 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 Do you understand, finally? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, you screwed around on me. Oh, gonorrhea.
You know, something, an STD's pretty serious, man, especially when you give it to your wife.
Oh, come on, Phil.
1-800-449-8686. 1-800-449-8686. If you find that your husband has had an affair, don't bug him about it, because he may want to wind up killing you. Now, I've never heard of the Adler theorem, but it is apparently something that hypothesizes you can push somebody to the point of homicide. A lot of women find that their men have had affairs. For some reason, they can't find the strength inside to shut up about it. They walk around the house talking about it. The next thing you know, the husband wants to kill her. Mr. Larry Grover is with us from the Conservatives of Kern County, and he's talking from experience. He cheated on his wife with a prostitute in Mexico some 5 years ago, wound up giving his wife gonorrhea in the process, and she's left him, basically. Although he did say he felt like killing her. 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show.
The Phil Hendry Show. 1-800-449-8686. Making pot brownies.
This young lady, Lacey Peterson, you know the story, don't you?
I didn't want to bring that up, but...
Well, I'm bringing it up.
All right.
This young lady, Lacey Peterson, she lived in Modesto, California. She went missing on Christmas Eve. You know that?
I'm familiar with the story, yeah.
All right. Her husband said he was going fishing. This lady is missing now. And then it comes out that the husband was having an affair.
Yeah. I got to look at her.
Got to look at who?
At the woman he was having the affair with. And to me, it wasn't worth it.
Well, I don't think an Ensenada, Mexico prostitute's worth it either. That was your marriage.
I understand that, Phil. But the fact of the matter is, this guy had an affair, told his wife about it, or so he claims. And I don't know, maybe she bugged him and bothered him about it.
And so you're saying she brought on her own death if, in fact, she's dead?
No, I don't want to go there. I don't want to say that.
Well, that's what you're saying, and I'm holding your feet to the fire on this. Are you telling me Lacey Peterson, if she's dead, brought on her own death? Isn't that what you're saying?
No, I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say...
yeah, you're not going to go that far.
I'm going to simply say that if your husband has an affair, say that you feel bad and just move on. Don't keep bringing it up. The more apt example...
You're saying that that's what Lacey Peterson did. She kept bringing it up, and so that's why she died.
I didn't say that, Phil.
Well, my ass, man. That's exactly what you're saying. I'm reading between the lines. That's exactly what you're saying.
The more apt description, I think, would be Kathy Lee Gifford, and the way she's breaking Frank Gifford's balls...
Oh, forget about Kathy Lee Gifford and Frank Gifford, okay? If she's going to break his nuts, that's what she's doing.
Well, you know what? Frank's going to take a freaking crowbar to her head.
Hey, you know what? If he does, he does. But he hasn't. And I don't like the idea of you tying this missing girl into your philosophy, the Adler theorem. Bug a guy enough about an affair, and he'll want to kill you.
Men naturally stray. That's number one. And that's the number one thing most women don't get. Number two, after the man strays and you start complaining to him about it, you're messing with a force in nature. You're messing with a force in nature, which is the guy did what he did, and you're telling him he's wrong. Most men want to kill women when they do that.
You know, I wish I could comment on the veracity of what you're saying, but I've never cheated on my wife.
Here we go again, you being high and mighty.
I'm not high and mighty about anything. I've never cheated on my wife, so I wouldn't know what it's like to be badgered endlessly about having an affair to the point where I want to kill her.
If women had more going on in their lives, they wouldn't have to use the infidelity of their husbands as a conversation piece. Okay, there, I said it.
Oh. So that's it?
Yes.
So women are so bored, they're using their husbands' affairs as conversation pieces.
Yes. They got nothing else to talk about. So they talk about their husband having an affair. They talk about it with him. They talk about it with their girlfriends.
And your wife, I guess, did this, huh?
My wife ran her mouth all over the neighborhood. Hey, Larry gave me gonorrhea. Did you hear about it?
Well, I don't believe that.
I'm going to tell you right now, she told all of her friends. It was an effort to make me look like a piece of garbage. They use infidelity as a way to get attention, Phil, and I'm telling women it is dangerous. Keep it on that, will you, Mom?
What are you doing?
I'm watching television. They got Leave It to Beaver. Turn on the other one. A lot of women...
Wait a minute. You're watching Leave It to Beaver with your mother?
Yeah, my mother's mom, Phil Hendry.
How you doing there, Mrs. Grover? I'm talking to your son here.
Pain in the ass. Mom, please.
What did she say?
She said I'm a pain in the ass.
Yeah. All right. Scott Peterson said he never loved this woman, Fry, and he can't explain why he pursued a relationship with her or why he continued it after telling his wife.
Well, I can imagine why any guy would continue an affair after telling the wife, because the minute you tell the wife, she starts bellyaching about it.
Don't you think a woman has the right to bellyache, as you put it, about a husband screwing around on her?
I think there are limits. And I think...
What limits?
I think there are limits to how long you got to bust his castanets on this thing.
Bust his castanets. I like your colorful language.
I think there are limits on how long you're going to bother a man about the affair that he had. My wife moved out just ahead of me killing her. And sometimes women aren't fulfilling the needs.
Well, you know, I think your theory sucks, and for you to even bring it up in the context of this Lacey Peterson story is the lowest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Look, I'm not saying that. It just made me think about it, that's all.
Just made you think about the time you wanted to kill your wife, huh?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Boy, it's a good thing she moved out with those kids, too, Larry.
Oh, wait a second. Now you're saying it's a good thing I'm sleeping on a cot on the service porch of my mother's house?
Yes, I am.
It's a good thing that I'm the night manager at a print shop? Is that a good thing?
Yes, it is.
I haven't had normal sexual relations with a woman in over 3 years, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Maybe you ought to go back down to Ensenada, man, and grab yourself another case of gonorrhea.
You are a real sick bastard.
Well, you're the guy that cheated on your wife. Now you're sleeping on a cot, reading Cosmopolitan ads to get hot. No woman will go near you because you decided you'd take a shower with a hooker in Ensenada, and the price was right.
It was $100.
All right. Good luck.
This is a great episode. This is when Whitey sees the bum.
Yo, what do you say we ought to do?
Hello?
1-800 when Whitey sees the bum. 1-800-449-8686. And, of course, this guy, Scott Peterson, has every earmark of a sociopath. This guy can't keep his kisser on the TV screen too much. Every time they want to interview him, he's there. Was he on Good Morning America this morning? I heard he was on Good Morning America, and he was saying that he loves his wife and all of this. And he said something very interesting. He said he never, as I just mentioned, he never loved this woman, this Fry woman, and he can't even explain why he pursued a relationship with her. Gee, that's really nice of you, Scott. So in other words, it isn't your fault. It's her. It's this Fry woman. Why would you ever pursue some skank like that, right? Otherwise, you're just a sweetheart. How about something like this, Scott? I got a good idea. Let me coach you through it. You know, I'm a real scumbag because I cheated on my wife. I manipulated and used emotionally 2 women. I feel so very sorry about that. I'm so very sorry about Lacey being missing. I'm a mess. I've messed a lot of things up. Please, God, I hope they find my wife. How about that, you fat slob? That's what you look like to me. You look like some oily, fat slob. But you know what? You're a sociopath. You love to manipulate people and control people. That's why you want to be on television. And you like to talk to the media, and you really, quote-unquote, want to keep Lacey's face out there in the media if that'll help her bring her home. You know as well as anybody else that she ain't around to be brought home. You know where she's buried, pal. What you might do is start making a map so we can find where she is. How about that? 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show.
The Phil Hendry Show, 1-800-449-8686. We eat kittens.
The Phil Hendry Show is back. 1-800-449-8686.
1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show. And John F. Kennedy Jr. probably became disoriented in the night sky on his final flight leading to the crash that killed him, his wife, and her sister, according to federal investigators who have released their final report on the accident today, nearly a year after the son of the late president plummeted into the sea off of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. And you recall, it was 1 year ago this month. The National Transportation Safety Board confirmed preliminary reports and suspicions held since the crash by concluding that pilot error was the probable cause of the July 16th, 1999 accident. Art Griego is a private pilot and is on the line with us from Santa Monica, and generally has some interesting takes on matters relative to aviation. Art, how are you this afternoon?
Well, I'm doing real good.
All right, so what do you think of this report, and what do you think of the conclusion of pilot error?
I disagree with it, as you know, Phil.
I know you told me that before we went on the air. Why?
Well, I think that John Kennedy Jr. was a good pilot. And I don't think there was any pilot error, and I think that would have been something that the NTSB could have concluded.
How so?
Well, I think that there wasn't any disorientation due to the elements of the weather. The NTSB, I think, might be doing a little covering up because you know as well as I do that there is a powerful female lobby in this country that doesn't want the facts to come out, in my opinion.
Now, wait, before we start talking about political cover-up, you are implicating a female lobby, meaning what, now, or?
Well, I wouldn't say any specific organization.
Now, wait, hold on for a minute. You're saying that a consortium or a conspiracy or a group?
I'm not calling it a conspiracy either, Phil. I'm saying women are obviously more powerful politically in this country. And I don't think that they would want the facts of this to come out. And
such as?
Well, Phil, do the math. The guy was flying with two women who most probably started right in as soon as the plane got off the ground. And that the plane made it as far as it did while that pilot, John F. Kennedy Jr., was subjected to the incessant backseat driving is amazing. As a matter of fact, Phil, we did have, or we're lucky enough to get some of the cockpit voice recorder.
All right, now you're saying to me, hold on for a minute, you have some of the cockpit voice recorder?
Yes, I do. And these women, I think, are fairly typical of a lot of women who fly with their husbands and their brothers-in-law. We did have on the tape, and I think in the cockpit voice recorder, the transcription was fly faster, John, nose up, John, you're stalling. A lot of the things that are typical, I think, of women when they're backseat driving.
Okay, so in other words, what you're telling me, and you started off your comments by saying that John F. Kennedy Jr., they probably started right in as soon as the plane got off the ground.
Yeah, because what you've got a man, you've got two women. The man is flying. The women are either sitting shotgun or one is sitting behind him. That is a formula for incessant bothering and harassment of the pilot. And when you take into consideration the hundreds of thousands of miles driven by motorists in this country just on the ground, and the backseat driving that their wives and mothers-in-law, and I'll tell you this much, had there been a mother-in-law on board, I have no doubt that Mr. Kennedy would have brought it down in a populated area. But fortunately, because there was no mother-in-law, he was able to at least, and my hat is off to John Kennedy Jr., he was able to save a lot of people's lives by bringing it down in the ocean.
All right, so you're saying that because there was no mother-in-law on board, which would have brought the plane down sooner?
Yeah, I think that with the incessant haranguing of his mother-in-law, with the incessant claptrap, and there's just a nonstop verbal diarrhea of a mother-in-law, I think he would have brought that thing down nose first into a jungle gym. And now you're talking about dead kids. Now it's not funny. Now it's dead kids. I think that what you had was a wife and a sister-in-law. That's bad enough. And as you can see, he couldn't get the thing anywhere near where he wanted to land it, which is on Long Island. I think it was in Hyannis is where he was heading.
Yeah, he was going from Long Island to Hyannis.
Correct. I think what happened was that the haranguing, the talking, the backseat driving, fly faster, fly slower, nose up. I don't have a mirror for my makeup. How am I going to put on these hose? Can I smoke in here? Anybody got a drink? All of this stuff just keeps on and on and on. And what happens to the typical male pilot is his hands begin to tense up on the yoke. There is visible perspiration. He becomes almost dizzy, disoriented. There's a vertigo that sets in. The voices of his wife and his sister-in-law turn into almost an echo chamber. They begin to reverberate. There's slapback. He doesn't really hear the words anymore. The sky looks wrong. The water looks wrong. And the next thing you know, rather than have to listen to them any longer, he goes ahead and puts it into a nosedive.
So are you telling me that John Kennedy took his own life?
No, I'm not saying that he took his own life. He was looking for relief. He was looking for relief from the sound of these women's voices. And I don't think he wanted to kill anybody. I think he was just we look for relief from a headache by taking aspirin. John did the logical thing. He looked for relief from the constant haranguing of these women by simply crashing it into the ocean. And I don't think he was thinking of taking anybody's life so much as just the blessed relief of silence. And that's what he got. And I think what he was looking to do, Phil, was to ditch and end the pain.
We are talking with Art Griego, a private pilot from Santa Monica, with a very unorthodox view of what really happened in that airplane 1 year ago when John Kennedy Jr., along with his wife and his sister-in-law, died when the plane crashed. Now, the NTSB says it was disorientation. Mr. Griego is saying that with a man flying and two women sitting in the plane, the backseat driving, the haranguing, and the complaining about his flying probably was so much that Mr. Kennedy ditched?
I think he was looking to ditch, to release one of the rafts and just get away from them. Now, I know that the emergency equipment on that Cessna that he was flying does afford the capability of 3 people to get on 3 separate rafts. I think what he wanted to do was hit the automatic inflate on one of those life rafts, get in it, and get out of there before they were able to get into theirs and float after him. And I think he just wanted to get clear of the crash scene. And
so he was looking to ditch and get away from these women who had not shut up since he...
had not shut up since he took off.
All right, our number is 1-800-449-8686, 1-800-449-8686. Now, you have a piece of the voice recorder that you're going to play for us a little bit later on?
Yes, and I think it's going to bear out a lot of what I'm saying. So I just want to say, I have experienced this. And all I'm saying is, if you are a single man flying with more than one woman, you can begin to lose nervous control. You start to sweat. Your hands start to shake. Your spatial orientation gets thrown off. I've been with my wife, and I love her. And almost as soon as we lift off, she starts in. And I begin to lose control of the aircraft. I tell you right now, I've almost parked it nose first in a crowded jungle gym right near the Santa Monica airport here. And I'll tell you, if JFK Jr. had his mother-in-law in that plane with him, I have no doubt in my mind he would have crash-landed a populated, high-density housing project. So, again, my hat is off to him.
So you are saying, in other words, that it was a great piece of flying that he crashed it where he did?
Oh, absolutely. It was a tremendous piece of flying that he put it down where he did and didn't kill somebody. Because I can tell you, and any pilot can tell you, that when you're flying and you are...
Okay, I got to interrupt you here because you know that you're going to have a lot of women saying that this is an obvious sexist...
I understand.
Hold on. Obvious sexist conclusions that you're coming to, that women talk too much while a man's trying to drive. You are accusing these two women now of causing that crash. You realize that?
It is my opinion, and I stick with it. Yes, sir. And this is no commentary on these women, but I think there comes a point when you just want to end the pain. And I think private pilots, should not be allowed to fly with their wives or the female members of a family. Royalty, as you know, Prince Charles, Prince William, they cannot fly together. We also have rules that say the President of the United States cannot fly with a vice president. I don't see anything wrong with saying to private pilots, keep your wives and your girlfriends and your sisters, keep them in the hangar until you get airborne, and they'll catch up to you later.
Art Griego, private pilot, our number 1-800-449-8686, as he gives his theory of why JFK Jr.'s plane went down. The fact that his wife and her sister didn't shut up from the time the plane lifted off until the time the plane eventually hit the water there in the Atlantic. And you're saying they literally were talking all the way up to the end?
Yeah, because as the voice recorder will bear out, we have a snippet of tape from that.
That they were talking when the plane crashed?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to hear that and take some phone calls here. 1-800-449-8686. Art Griego with us on The Phil Hendrie Show. And with us is Art Griego. 1-800-449-8686. The Phil Hendrie Show here. On the line with us is Art Griego from Santa Monica. We're talking about John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane crashing. Now, the NTSB has said that it was a disorientation due to the inner ear and a pilot error, essentially. Although you're saying that that's not really fair, Art?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's fair. I think John Kennedy Jr. was a fine pilot. This inner ear thing is always cited when there are female passengers. And
so, in other words, the female passengers were backseat driving?
They could have been backseat driving, bothering him, wanting him to shift the mirror so they could apply their makeup. You have been in those situations before, and I'm saying is Mr. Kennedy was involved in a very tense situation where I think it got to him, and he decided to ditch the plane and try to get out, try to make it to Hyannis in a raft, or try to get picked up by the Coast Guard. And
because he couldn't stand listening to his wife and sister talking any longer?
That's it. Absolutely.
All right, 1-800-449-8686. Lincoln on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello. Lincoln, hello.
Hello, yeah.
Yes, sir. Hi, you're on the air.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
You.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what Kennedy had was what they call spatial disorientation, and it comes about by not seeing the horizon.
Well, that's what the NTSB wants you to believe.
Right.
That's what they want you to believe.
That's what you want you to believe. I've experienced it until you get to be an instrument-rated pilot, and you know where the horizon. And believe me,
have you ever been in an aircraft with 2 or 3 women?
I've been in the aircraft with 6 women.
Okay, then you know, and you've gotten what you call spatial disorientation, correct?
Only when you would get in clouds, and before I ever had an instrument rating.
When you
drop a wing.
When you had
you would drop a wing.
Drop a wing.
Well, dropping a wing, I've dropped plenty of wings.
And that drops you into. And I'll tell you that the spatial disorientation. When you're taking your instrument training, the pilot, the instructors will actually take you into that situation, so they'll show you what happens.
Roger. Now, where do you drop your wing?
Well, you just lower the wing because you don't think your mind is telling you that the wings aren't level.
Well, what
so
part
you
of the,
make them.
What part of the country?
Any part of the country. It'll happen anywhere.
You're going to drop your wing anywhere?
Well, you don't drop it off. You just lower it on one wing lower than the other. Yeah.
But how do you know that when you were experiencing dropping a wing that a woman wasn't on board with you? See, that's what I'm saying. And a lot of guys will say, well, it's spatial disorientation, when in point of fact, these women don't shut up.
Well, what are you saying? That they're saying spatial disorientation when they're ignoring the fact that the guy's got women haranguing them?
Yeah, just as soon as they take off. Okay?
No.
And I think you need to look into that.
I think the guy his clutch is slipping.
No, I'm telling you, I have my clutch adjused. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
But are you instrument rated?
Instrument rated?
Yes.
Well, where? What vector?
Do you have an instrument rating to fly a private plane?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Then when you took your training, they didn't go up and have you demonstrate your vertigo?
Of course they did. But I never experienced
you did it, and there was no woman in board.
I never experienced it. Not until I've flown with my wife. And that's when I begin to get dizzy. That's when I start to lose the horizon.
And you're saying you're losing the horizon because your wife won't shut up?
Well, if this guy doesn't know what I'm talking about, I mean, yeah.
No, I don't. I've never done that. And
have you ever wanted to ditch?
Women.
Have you ever been flying with your wife and a mother-in-law, and you just had the urge to go ahead and ditch it?
No way, Jose.
You're kidding.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I have, and I think that's what happened to John Kennedy.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
Yeah, I think he lost horizons. I appreciate your.
Thank you very much for.
I got to go to a board meeting.
Thank you for calling. Okay.
You bet.
Have fun.
All right. Bye. Here is Lake Forest on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just think that this pilot that is called in, this is the most absurd thing I have ever heard. I don't think he has any basis, and I think it's very sexist. His
Wait a minute. What's the matter, Art?
Just listening to her voice. You see what's happening to me right now?
Are you getting sweaty?
I'm getting a little dizzy. Yeah, I'm getting a little dizzy.
Well,
because
maybe
you have a. God, I wish Piper would make a plane with a rear ejection. I really do.
Well, you know what? Maybe you need to go see a psychiatrist or a licensed clinical social worker.
Why would I do that? All I'm saying is
to find out how to control those emotions and feelings that come over you when a female talks to you.
Are you all right, Art?
No, that seems like
no. Hold on. I've been married for 15 years. I can talk to my wife. I can deal with my mother-in-law. I'm not saying it's easy, but I can do it. All right. But there's a certain, there's a certain oscillation level of voice where I start to get dizzy. And as soon as you came on the line...
You got dizzy listening to this lady?
Yes, I did.
Well, if I was your wife or your daughter or in-law, I would not be hopping in a plane with you.
God.
And I also think that it's very, very rude to the family of those ladies that you're even calling in and saying such things.
All right, Mr. Griego? Sir?
Yeah.
Okay. What the lady said was that you probably should watch what you're saying with regard to Mrs. Kennedy and her sister.
All right, I understand that. I'm just saying, if John Kennedy experiences anything like a lot of pilots, as soon as the women start talking with the back seat driving, nose up, nose down, you're going too fast, you're going too slow, you're stalling, get your nose, all of that stuff. You would rather, I swear, ma'am, you would rather crash it into a building.
Well, some people
and
like
he didn't have a building handy.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't think that he was the kind of person like that. And I don't think it's fair for you to make those judgments.
All right, I think that he's probably misjudging. I don't know that it comes from any moral sense. I think it's just a misjudging based upon a misinterpretation of people. Thank you, ma'am, for your call, though.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
1-800-449-8686. Indian Orchard on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Pretty good, sir. How are you?
Very good, sir.
I've got a couple of things that I'm really that bother me about what he's saying, and not so much the Cessna Piper argument, but
I misspoke. I meant to say Piper. If I said Cessna, forgive me.
Okay, I've been flying since about 1966, and I fly the Warrior and I fly the Arrow, which you should know are just one notch below the Saratoga that he was in.
Roger.
What cockpit voice recorder on airplanes that small? I've never heard of anything.
On the Piper, they do have a minimal unit, which is voice-activated only, and they've been experimenting with this now for probably, I don't know, it's an option that they've experimented with for like the last few years. John Kennedy, obviously, money not being any object, I'm sure dabbled in some of these little options that you could load into a cockpit.
I don't know. I've never heard of anything.
I can play it for you if you'd like it.
Do you have the... Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. You
can order one from the Piper factory.
All right, well, hold on for a minute. Do you have that piece of tape?
I do, Phil.
All right, I want to hear that with the caller on the line. Now, this is supposedly the last few seconds before the Piper hit the water.
Yeah, Phil, this is when they had pretty much reached... they were at about 3,500 RPM. And here it is. I got pee.
All right, what was that?
You can hear it distinctly. Someone say, I've got to pee. Okay?
And that says what?
That tells me that they had been haranguing him and bugging him about having to go to the bathroom and all of this stuff. Okay, sir?
Indian Orchard, are you still there? Or... I imagine he hung up.
I don't blame him.
Phil Hendry Show, 1-800-449-8686. 86. With me is Art Griego on the line from Santa Monica at the airport there, right, Art?
Well, I'm here. Have a couple of blasts after... it's a fun day flying. We took some passengers up to Santa Barbara.
You say you're having a couple of blasts?
Yeah, I'm just having a beer and... enjoying a very, very beautiful day here in Southern California.
All right, we're talking about John F. Kennedy, and unfortunately not a happy topic. John Kennedy Jr. lost his life last year. The NTSB says it was disorientation due to an inner ear. This is a common spatial disorientation, a common malady suffered by pilots when they have this inner ear situation, right, Art?
Well, again, Phil, I don't think that was what it... I don't think it was just spatial disorientation. I think it was disorientation caused by the fact that he had a wife and a sister-in-law pulling blouses out of the bag. Oh, look at the earrings that I bought. Look at the makeup that I got. They had just been to the Long Island Mall. And
the Long Island Mall?
Yes, where they purchased these things. And so here's John Kennedy Jr., and all he is praying for is land. He's hoping to God he sees land and sees it soon because he knows that that's Hyannis. He can sit down there, get out, get debriefed.
Now, what do you mean by debriefed?
Anytime you're in an aircraft for an extended period with women, you have to be debriefed when you hit the ground. You have to go in. The NTSB immediately wants to talk you down from this disoriented, state of mind that you're in. And
they have to talk you into, in other words, you're
suffering from vertigo. This just a few moments ago, you wanted to ditch the plane. So that's what we're talking about.
All right, let's go to Omaha on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
I just wanted to say that I find this an absolute riot. I think that maybe saying that John Kennedy wanted to ditch the plane might be going to extremes.
Well,
but
I don't think that. Why?
Well, no, I just want to tell you that the reason I find this so funny is because I come from a family of all girls, and I have 3 daughters.
Yes.
And I know how we can drive. When we get together, we drive my dad and my husband absolutely crazy, and I understand what you're saying.
There you go. And it could easily lead a man, Phil, to want to get so far away from it that he might ditch the plane, take his chances with a passing Coast Guard cutter or a tuna boat.
So you're saying that John Kennedy was hoping to ditch and be picked up by a fishing boat?
Yes. His wife. Yes,
well,
ma'am?
can I just tell you that, when my husband or my dad...
Yeah, your husband and your father have felt these feelings as well.
Oh, yeah,
so
we drive them
crazy.
They'll
want to stop, they'll want to let you out. Or
well,
either that or they'll get out themselves and take their chances with a passing truck.
Yeah, but I think that John Kennedy is probably mature enough, as my dad and father-in-law, to know I've got to get away or go to another room. Don't listen to this.
Yeah, but not if you're in an airplane.
Game.
Not if you're in an airplane. Then all bets are off. And then,
well, what do you do if you're in an airplane?
You try to ditch. You try to make it to land. And I think he was trying to ditch because I think he was too far away from land.
All right.
Well, I just wanted to say that I think it's a riot because I can understand what you're saying.
Yes,
but
thank you very much. Just when that happens to your husband or to your father, I know it's funny on a certain level, but it's also dangerous. That cockpit is about the size of a VW Bug interior, Phil. And the next time you see your husband or your father going through that, ma'am, think of John Kennedy and remember that it isn't so funny when a man loses his life.
Well, I mean,
if I see him in that mode, we also know that it's time to be quiet. Neither of them fly.
That's it.
But we respect their mood.
If only you'd been on that plane with John Kennedy, you would have known to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, I know with my dad and husband when to shut up.
That's right, dear. And these women didn't know to shut up. They kept on about the earrings and the stockings and the shoes.
Well, how do you know it was about the shoes and the stock?
Well, they had been to a mall. I'm sure they were talking about their clothes and their wigs, whatever they bought.
Okay. Thank you, dear. 1-800-449-8686 is our number. It's Phil Hendry Show. We're with Art Griego talking about John Kennedy Jr. and the fact that what caused him to crash the plane, in Art's opinion, is the incessant talking of women in the airplane. You made the statement that had he been with a mother-in-law, he probably would have brought it down in a populated area.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Now, you also said that they had just gone shopping and they were pulling out all of the blouses and shoes they just purchased?
Right. So can you imagine you are trying to fly an aircraft, and here come all the blouses and shoes and crap that your wife and her sister bought, and they're holding it up and waving it around. Oh, God.
Well, okay. Let's go to Oniana on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hi.
Yeah, hey, this guy's lost all his credibility here.
Hello?
You know that?
Okay, sir, have you got anything else to say?
Are you listening to me right now?
Yeah, I'm listening to you,
okay,
and you better start. Let's go.
First thing is, the guy says it was a Cessna when you first started. It wasn't.
I corrected myself. I said it was a Piper.
Yeah, well,
don't hang your hat on that.
You have a pilot.
Don't hang your hat on that one, okay?
It would scare me, because if I did your checkout ride, the first thing I'd do is kick your ass right off the plane.
Wait a second. Don't hang the Piper thing on me. I misspoke, all right?
Misspoke.
That's all you got.
I don't think you're even a pilot.
Is that all you got?
No, I got a bunch of things. Another thing is, if they were showing clothes and everything,
yes,
the only debris that was found there was the plane. There was first thing on impact, all the clothes would be floating to the top of the water.
Wait, there were suitcases, sir. They found
suitcases.
Bags
no clothes.
Oh,
second thing is, he was flying out of Jersey, not out of Long Island.
What do you put in a suitcase?
And it would only be about a 20-minute flight. Third thing is, you said he was going about 3,500 RPMs, and that's
when it hit the ground.
Fly at 75% power.
All right, you're not listening to anybody. The guy in Oniana, you got to listen to people, okay? He said when it hit the water, the NTSB says it was going 3,500, okay? Now, what was your other statement, Art?
I'm saying to the guy that they found clothing in the suitcases.
Okay, I was there the week before it happened, and I listened to it all during when it happened.
What do you mean
and
you
I'll tell you what, I saw the footage.
What do you mean you listened
nothing floating as you perceive.
What do you mean you listened to it?
I watched it on TV and I listened to the news. I mean,
have you flown with women?
If you're even a pilot,
have you ever flown with a woman?
Every pilot right now is laughing their ass off.
No, I'm asking you.
You don't know a thing about what you're talking
Where
about.
do you vector out of?
Oneana.
You vector out of Oneana?
Correct.
The municipal airport?
Correct. And I just flew out of Barnstable last week.
You out of Vegetable?
Say it again.
Out of where?
Barnstable Airport, which is on
what's your flight
coast.
What's your flight path?
You got me by the sneakers. We just fly right to Nantucket, and he was coming from Jersey, which is actually south.
Do you fly to Nantucket?
Yes, we did.
Out of Oneana?
No, out of Barnstable, which is
out of Barnstable,
which is next to Hyannis.
Next to who?
Next to Hyannisport.
The town, Hyannisport.
I know. I'm just checking to see if this guy knows where he is.
Which guy?
You.
No, I wonder if you know where you are.
You don't even file a flight plan? You're not Did you file a flight plan?
No, I don't.
Well, then you're not a real pilot.
I'm a student pilot, sir. And that's why even
check it out. I got the student pilot telling me how it is.
Yes,
I'm going to tell you something. When you vector out of a place like Long Beach, California, Santa Monica, I'm Black Star all the way.
Okay.
I got 16 on the high. You don't know what Black Star is?
No, I don't.
Okay, you got to sit back and learn. Number two.
Not from a person like you.
14 high. You're 14 high, and you're vectoring out of an east tailwind. What do you do?
I don't have a clue on what to do.
There you go. Okay. Go back to school, my friend.
Well, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter. But what does matter is that John Kennedy would be alive today if a couple of women would just have shut up for 20 minutes.
All right. Thank you very much. 1-800-4...
Look, so I have to fly through LAX airspace, not a bunch of cornfields, all right? So that guy ought to check back in with me when they start putting some buildings up around where he lives.
Here's a guru on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
I don't understand this whole thing about. I kind of came in the middle, but what is this thing about?
But basically, what Art, if you could reset.
No, what we're trying to say is that John Kennedy Jr., there's a very good chance that he was flying with his wife and with his sister, that as soon as they took off, I'm sure the wife and sister started in with the talking. And I don't mean this about every woman. I'm a married man. I love my wife. But you fly, you drive. It's the same thing. They're telling you how to do it. They don't shut up. I think he reached a point, dear Hyannis, where he decided to ditch and take his chances on a life raft.
He decided to ditch because he was getting driven crazy by his wife.
Because his wife, and then they had clothing they just bought at the mall. They were talking about the wedding. They were talking about who's going to do the video. And Kennedy, by all accounts, his fingers tightening on the yoke, sweat pouring down his face, began to head straight into the waves. White knuckle flying.
You should be an author.
Why?
The guy, he crashed my dad's a pilot. I flew with him all when I was a little girl, when I was a teenager.
Did your father ever crash with you there?
No, my father was an excellent flyer. He was a policeman, and
but
you know what?
I bet you knew when to shut up.
You know what he told me?
Mm-mm.
He said Kennedy crashed because he could not see the horizon. He only had like 100 hours flying without instruments, and that's why he crashed.
Well, why do you agree, Art?
I agree because he couldn't see the horizon, because he became disoriented from the vibration from the droning sound of the wife's voice.
If he, you know, he would have to be
just
a hugely weak person.
And all of that crap, and finally he went insane.
You know what? My opinion is that you obviously have a problem with women and their chatting.
No, ma'am, I got a problem with a lot of empty conversation about shoes, especially when you're in an aircraft.
And you think Kennedy would have married a woman that he thought always...
I don't think that he minded her on the ground. I think up in the air, diarrhea of the mouth became a liability.
I don't
and
think
John
so.
Kennedy Jr., God bless him and God rest his soul, went to his grave wanting peace from the noise coming out of his wife's mouth.
His wife,
oh, my God.
His wife, by the way, was a very intelligent, business-minded, professional woman who I'm sure didn't spend her entire life talking about shoes and clothing. No. In fact, they were probably talking about the wedding and what was going to be happening at the wedding, and they might have been asking
there you go.
Kennedy
That's exactly what I mean. Just, what do you think of the wedding? And it didn't even end. And the last thing this poor guy heard was his wife talking about needing to go to the bathroom. That's the last sound he heard when he hit
449-8686. Art Griego, well, the NTSB disagrees with you, Art. And
well, the NTSB can, they can listen to the flight recording. You want to hear it again?
No, I don't know.
No, here it is. Go take a leak. There you go, see?
Yeah, I got to take a leak. All right, good luck, man.
Well, don't you want to hear the evidence?
No, I've already got a good idea of the evidence you got. Phil Hendrie Show. One 800-449-8686. Phil Hendrie Show. Now, this is interesting. We got a gentleman calling from Dallas, Texas. And we were just talking about John Kennedy Jr. This is the Phil Hendrie Show, by the way. John Kennedy Jr. and the NTSB ruling. And what is your name, sir?
So my name is Bob Green, and I'm calling you from Dallas, Texas this evening because I have authored a book on the death of President Kennedy from an angle I don't think too many people have chosen to look at.
Now, this angle is the name of the book is America's Biggest Lie, The Zapruder Connection, which I'm familiar with.
One 800-449-8686. This is the Phil Hendrie Show.
What is the face of the peace movement in America? What is it, and who are these people at this particular time in our history? Dean Wheeler is rejoining us from Northern California. Dean is in Mill Valley, California right now, and he is with the Northern California Holistic Rejuvenance Conference. And, Dean, are you a pacifist, and your opposition to America's involvement in this war on terrorism stems from your pacifism?
Well, Phil, yes, it does. I am a pacifist. I do not believe in the harming of life, and that is, you bet, that's one of our tenets. The other aspect to what's going on in America right now is very troubling, and I'm very offended by it. There have been a lot of prayer vigils, and that's fine as far as it goes, and there have been an awful lot of national prayer services. And I guess you'd agree there's been a lot of prayer.
I would agree there's been a lot of prayer, yeah.
And that's fine in the privacy of your own home, and I have no problem with that. But separation of church and state, table for one. I don't want to make a light comment out of this.
All right. Well, what are you saying then?
What I'm saying is prayer vigils, schools, governments, all state-sponsored prayer is a violation of the separation of church and state. And I know that people are feeling right now very vulnerable, but I know that when they come to their senses, they'll know that it's wrong. It's wrong, and we're still a democracy.
Well, separation of church and state is a constitutional mandate, yes, but this has been an unusual outpouring, hasn't it?
I don't know. I know how I feel. I know a lot of people are feeling, very offended by what happened. The terrible incidents, the accident that happened in New York.
The accident?
Well, I don't want to engage in a lot of vitriolic and offensive language. It was a terrible incident. I'm sure that a lot of people died. The people on the plane, the hijackers, all kinds of people.
Look, people are stunned, they're shocked, they're in pain.
I know, yeah, that's true.
And they're feeling.
Yeah, I know.
And they're feeling bad about these things.
Yeah, I know. It's bad.
Yeah, okay, so they want to pray, and then they want to pray out loud.
All right, well, that's the thing. We really have to tell people they're not allowed to do that. And then
why? Because of this separation of church and state?
Yeah, the separation of church and state, that's a big stumbling block, and people are not allowed to do that, and I don't blame them for wanting to pray, but you have to pray to yourself. You can't pray because it offends me. I really find it offensive. I find it insensitive. This weekend, Phil, there's going to be countless high school football games and public gatherings, and people are going to be praying, and it's going to hurt a lot of us who believe in the nonviolent yet democratic separation of church and state, and so we are going to practice our nonviolent audio interference. Now
I read about nonviolent audio interference, which is one of the reasons why we got you on the show. You guys, with your Northern California Holistic Rejuvenance Conference, you're going to stop people from praying?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
You're going to stop them from praying?
Well, no, they can pray, they just can't, so I can't hear it. And other members of our Rejuvenance Conference, and those of us who are involved in bowel irrigation and some of the holistic alternative modes of pushing our lives forward, and while we push our lives forward, we push all the poisons out of our bowels. And
well, what is nonviolent audio interference?
Nonviolent audio interference, and I'm really sorry that we have to do it, is when we hear people publicly praying, we will join our hands together, other members of our group, we will all join hands, we will cover our ears, and it's a little comic because it kind of goes to the old Eddie Murphy bits, but we're going to go as loud as we can, la 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 ha, in other words, so you can't hear it. Okay?
Let me ask you this. Do you think you're going to get out of the ballpark alive? I mean, seriously.
Oh, this is America. What do you mean? Huh? What?
Hold on for a minute. I got to give the phone number out. Some cat at a prayer conference starts doing that. 1-800-449-8686, 1-800-449-8686. Just, there's been a lot of public prayer, and we're talking with Dean Wheeler from the Northern California Holistic Rejuvenance Conference, who believes that public prayer is a violation of church and state. So you're saying go into their churches and pray?
If the churches are not on public property, yeah.
If the churches, I don't understand.
Well, you realize, Phil, that it's technically a violation of church and state separation if you're praying in a church that is leasing public land. And so what our nonviolent audio interference is nonviolent. We don't hurt anybody. We simply, if we hear public prayer on a public piece of property within the public domain, we will join hands, cover our ears, and go la ha ha, just make noises.
So that what? So that nobody can hear the prayer?
That's correct. And we don't really want to do it, and we're sorry that we're doing it, and we don't want to hurt anybody, but we're really offended by it.
Let me ask you a question at this point. I have to ask you this: how do you hold hands and cover your ears at the same time?
Basically, we just hunch the shoulders.
You hunch your shoulders up?
Yeah, we hold our hands up so that our arms, the top of our shoulders, cover our ears.
Really?
Yes, sir. And it's very important for us to understand, and for everyone to understand, that the big George Bush religion machine is not going to roll over us. So we need this separation of church and state. And
what if I started praying right now?
You mean if you prayed on your program?
Yeah. What if I start, Our Father who art in heaven? Oh, so you're not going to let me say it?
No, I wouldn't. I would not. It's not, Phil, that I don't like you. It's nothing that I don't want to offend you or hurt you, but I'm offended, and I'm hurt.
Can I just break down the Lord's Prayer with you?
Are you going to say the whole prayer?
I'm going to break it down sentence by sentence.
Because if you start saying the whole prayer, I'm going to have to go into the
thing. I know, okay. Our Father... No, wait a minute. Wait.
What?
I just want to break it down. Our Father...
Oh, well, Our Father is a misnomer. I don't know what they mean by Our Father. I know who my Father is, and I don't want to be generalized. Okay, so I'm offended.
Who art in heaven.
Okay, that offends me, because we don't know where he is.
Hallowed be thy name.
I'm offended by that.
Why are you offended by that?
Hallowed be thy name? I mean, who? Who? I don't know. And all of this is very confusing, I know. And
well, hold on. Thy kingdom come.
That offends me as well.
So the whole thing offends you?
Yes, it offends me from the standpoint, I don't mind people having religious services in their churches. And they can even have the religious services in their churches if they are on public grounds. They just can't pray.
How can you have a religious service in a church if it's on public land and not pray?
Well, a lot of people would say that there's a possibility that many of the priests and ministers can mime the service. All right, so these are ideas.
I don't know what you mean by mime it.
It's just a creative idea. By the way, Phil, getting back to Our Father, that means that you and I are brothers, and that could be, but we're not related. See, a lot of it's very offensive.
Well, it's hard to argue with the separation of church and state thing.
That's right. See? A lot of this, you see, nobody thought of that, did they? They all started praying out in the public. But Christmas is coming up, and here we go again with the crosses and the Christmas trees, and we don't want to go down that road again. So let's just, everybody remember, you can pray to yourself quietly.
I think that if you are at any public event where there's prayer going on and people are praying out loud, like when you mentioned the kids' football games, I was at a kids' game last week where they gave an invocation. I mean,
what do you mean?
Well, what I mean is the priest came out and or whoever the cat was and said, "Hey Lord, would you do this?"
Then I'd have to perform.
You'd have to. So he says, "Hey Lord." I'm not praying right now, Dean.
All right, but I'm giving you an example
of what you would do at one of my kids' high school football games.
I'm afraid, yes.
I would be angry.
I'm sorry. I know you would. I feel that. I sense it.
I'd be very angry. I'd want to hurt you. I'd want to hit you.
I sense that. I do. I sense that. I'm sorry.
Judy, hi. You're on the Phil Hendry Show, Judy.
Hi. Yes. This man has really upset me.
Yeah, it's very upsetting what you're saying, Dean.
I'm sorry, Judy.
You're not.
I don't want to upset you.
You poor, pathetic person.
Oh,
it is a good thing. It is a good thing you are a pacifist.
Yeah.
Because you're taking your life in your hands. I swear, I'm one of the mildest-mannered persons. I'm a nurse. But I'll tell you this. If I was saying the Lord's Prayer and you started that,
your anger
you know
hurts
what
me.
would happen to you?
Well, Judy, so in other words, after invoking the name of Jesus, you would commit violence? I think that's very wrong.
Do you realize where you live, sir? Do you realize where you live? You live in the land of the free, and we ought to have a chance to say whatever we want to.
Well, I agree
play
with
out
you.
loud or whatever. Then if you agree, why would you do something like that?
Because you can't do it on public property. You have to do it on private property.
Let me tell you this.
Okay,
you start la, something like that, sound any kind of Afghanistan or Pakistani or whatever have you. You may be taking your life in your hands for another reason right there.
I don't understand.
And Judy, that it sounds like he's saying Allah?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is I'm simply trying to interfere with your public prayer on public property. You can do it privately, but if you start to pray, all right, I won't go la, la, la. I'll say something like, just any loud noise, okay?
Well, that's so wrong. People getting together and sharing prayer.
I suggest you be prepared. Then I suggest you have your insurance paid up and you be prepared.
I know you're hurt, but I'm also offended by you. Isn't there a way we can bridge this?
I'm offended by you, sir.
Well,
and let me tell you something. I'm an American. My people came from Scotland and from England, and they fought in the American Revolutionary War.
In the American Revolutionary?
I have people all the way back to there.
In the Evolutionary
And I'll be damned if I stand here and listen to you say something like this.
I think it's tough, Dean, to be telling people in the middle of this that...
Well, nothing is more offensive than walking by a church and hearing all that singing going on while I'm walking on a public street.
Can I suggest get you some cotton and put in your ears?
Well, why can't I just go, ha?
Hey, wait a minute. Why not get cotton?
Because I don't want anyone else hearing the prayer either. It's public property.
Oh, see, that's the thing. All right, Judy, thank you for your call. 1-800-449-8686. Dean Wheeler saying that all of these public prayer meetings, all of this public prayer that's been going on in America since September the 11th, even though he doesn't want us to get angry at him, is saying it is technically a violation of church and state. The separation of church and state. And I got to tell you, I just can't hang with this guy. The country is trying to heal itself right now, and maybe we need a little bit of this. And this non-audio interference, or this audio interference where he's going to go ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, whatever he's doing, could get him killed. 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show.
One 800-449-8686. The Phil Hendry Show is back.
Something like that,
No, if you do that, it sounds like you're from Afghanistan, like that lady said, okay? Interrupting someone's public prayer.
I'm not interrupting anyone, Phil, and I'm very hurt by how misunderstood. You're not understanding me, okay? We're a democracy. We're not a theocracy. This weekend, we are going to just simply practice nonviolent audio interference.
Holding hands with your arms up in the air so your shoulders are over your ears and going ha la 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 or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to go la 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 because that may be interpreted as some kind of a Pakistani dialect. I'm thinking we'll just go or something like that.
All right. It sounds stupid.
Well, Phil, I'm sorry you're offended by me.
No, it's just a ha sounds stupid, that's all.
Whatever separates church and state.
Okay, I got it. Here is Christina on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello, Christina.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I just want to say this. I want to say, first of all, I don't believe him. I think he's a phony. I think he's trying to give attention. However, I don't think that he has a clue about separation of church and state. Separation of church and state was supposed to protect the religion. That's why we came to this country. That's why we came to this. Let me finish. That's why we came to this country in the first place. It was not. It was to get away from idiots like you, so that we could worship in any way that we wanted to.
Well, no.
Yes,
you may not. No,
you have twisted it into your own little ideology. That is not true. You need to look at the Constitution. You need to go back and look at the people who wrote it.
I don't have to look at you being all in your prayer and everything.
You know what? That's my right in this country. You can walk away, and that's your right.
No, you don't get to.
Yes, you do.
No, you do not.
I will do it right in front of you.
If you do it in front of me,
You'll what? You'll do nothing.
I'm nonviolent, but you'll make me mad.
Well, who cares?
What does that mean?
That is my right as an American. I can make anybody mad.
What if I throw a garbage can on you?
Whatever. You're just wrong, and you don't want to admit it.
You know something, Christina? I think we can talk about this. We don't have to be angry. Now, first of all, you think it's funny, but there is a separation of church and state. It's in something called
to protect
the Constitution of the United States. You know what that is?
It was to protect religion, not to protect
Well, if you like to pray so much, why don't you pray right now? You're on the public airwaves.
I could.
Well, go ahead. I don't care.
You do care because you're going to go la la la, and that's just going to...
Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to do, isn't it?
Well, don't I have the freedom of speech?
Okay, Christine, let's do it. Our Father... Yeah, look, and see you doing it. What's the point?
You know what? I love your show, Mitch, and I just want to say that this guy is... I'm going to pray for him, and I hope that the Lord really works on him.
Mitch.
So thank you very much for your time, Mitch.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, Mitch, it's a great show.
This is the Mitch Hendry Show? 1-800, it's Phil Hendry.
I know. I was offended by that, too.
I wasn't offended. She got the wrong name. Here's Milford on the Phil Hendry Show. Milford?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
You know,
you're not going to pray, are you, Milford?
I'm sorry?
You're not going to pray, are you? I'm Dean Wheeler.
No, I'm not going to pray.
Oh,
let me say this.
Because
there are two powers on the face of this earth.
What?
That's the power of God and the power of Satan. And let me tell you,
well, I don't know.
God has given me the gift of discernment.
Yeah.
And you, my friend, belong to Satan.
No, I belong to the Northern California Rejuvenance Conference.
Mankind is physical, mental, and spiritual.
But Milford, if you make me
spiritually,
angry, it'll cause my colon to tighten up, and I'll spend 3 hours trying to give myself an enema. See, I believe in bowel irrigation. Do you?
What has that got to do with what this man's talking about?
That has nothing to do with it. You're trying to confuse the issue.
No, I'm not.
You keep saying, every other sentence, you keep saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You're not sorry.
Well, I am. I'm very sorry that you're angry.
And let me tell you something about freedom. Your freedom ends where my nose begins.
What?
That's right.
What does that mean?
Every individual on the face of this earth.
Let's get back to that nose thing. What are you talking about? Your freedom ends where my nose begins.
It means...
No, let him explain.
Yes, you're infringing on my freedom.
Your nose? I didn't say anything about your nose.
You know what I'm talking about.
You know what I'd like to say? I'm sorry.
Don't try to confuse the issue.
No, I'm not. I just don't know what your nose has to...
It means that your freedom to swing your fist ends where my nose begins.
That's right. You're getting too close to me. When your freedom infringes on my freedom, you've gone too far.
Say that again.
You know what he just said.
When your freedom infringes on my freedom, you've gone too far.
One more time.
What do you mean one more time?
Just say it one more time.
You're not going to la me, are you?
No, sir. Please say it one more time.
Your freedom.
See, I knew he was going to do that, Milford. I knew he was going to do that.
I don't belong to Satan.
How about if we went every time that you talked?
Milford, you wouldn't do that, would you? Milford?
You have a
choice.
Someone
call the paramedics.
You have a choice
Yes.
By birth.
I'm sorry that I said I'm sorry so much. But I am sorry.
No, you're not sorry.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Well, I am.
Well, you can mouth it all you want to, but
What?
it doesn't mean anything.
Mouth what?
You're
sorry.
Just mouthing the word. That's all you're doing is mouthing the word.
All I want are for people not to pray out loud on public property. That's in the Constitution. And I'm offended. I'm a free human being.
Do you have any...
I'm really sorry that you don't think I'm sorry. But
what,
I am
what is,
sorry.
What is your family's military record?
My family's military record?
Yes.
Let me look that up.
I bet you don't have any.
Wait, could you hold on?
Let me tell you something.
What's he doing now?
This country...
Hold on for a minute.
Freedom is not free.
Milford, are you there? No, Milford. What? No, is he gone? Oh, good Lord! They're all gone. Everybody, Milford, Dean, they're gone. Oh, that's probably good news. Phil Henry Show.
One 1-800-449-8686. And now more on The Phil Hendry Show.
On The Phil Hendry Show, I play not only the part of myself as the host, I also play the voice of the guests. And in the preceding segment, that was me playing the part of Dean Wheeler as well as myself. Many people ask, is it pre-recorded? Many people ask, does he use some kind of special effect? No, we don't pre-record any bits. And we certainly don't use any special effects, just a telephone and me. That's how we do it. And, of course, many of our long-standing fans will say, why do you let all these newbies, why do you let all these newcomers to your show know what the show's about? So that they can appreciate the show better, I think. And, frankly, I think that last half-hour radio that we did was about as funny, if not funnier, than anything that came out of the radio today anywhere in America, that we just think we're just going to play that half hour over and over again for the rest of the day, and I'm going to split and go home and be with my wife, who has promised me fun things for this evening.
Henry Show, 1-800-449-8686.
All right, we're on the air. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah.
David Hall, who is the Vice President of Syndication, is with me on the Phil Hendry Show. Our number is 1-800-449-8686. Go ahead, David.
I know I speak for a lot of people when I say that the news of late has been very nerve-wracking. And I would ask you to stop talking about it.
It is the news, though, and it's important.
What I'm trying to tell you is...
Go ahead, tell me.
I'm having a personal problem with it. It's difficult for me to digest it all. And I never thought I'd say this because I used to be a news director, and I always saw myself as someone who could handle it. But it's getting me very depressed.
Well, I don't know how I can stop talking about it.
I'm asking you to stop. I don't want you to keep talking about it, just as a personal favor. I'm very, very depressed. I mean, everything you're talking about, gas masks, you're talking about...
David, what is wrong?
I don't know.
What's wrong? I mean, you have always been a guy who told me how to go about doing the show.
That just doesn't make sense anymore. I can't handle anything anymore. I've had thoughts, I guess, in recent days. I can't...
What about? What thoughts?
I don't want to allow myself to utter the words. I'm just not dealing with things.
Well, if this is a personal thing about all the news that has been going on, a lot of people are having a hard time dealing with this. Maybe you ought to talk to somebody.
There's nobody I can talk to. It's like I don't feel like living.
All right, David, wait just a minute. You can't talk like that.
I don't want to be dramatic, okay?
You can't talk like that. You cannot say things like, I don't feel like living.
But it's just that recently I've thought about, and please, God forgive me, taking my own life.
You can't go there, man, okay? That's stuff, life, events, everything that happens to us happens. And you know, like my wife likes to say, it is what it is. I mean, every day you get out of bed and you're dealt this hand. Here's the hand we're dealt with. Today's the hand, okay? If you play poker,
yeah,
this is the hand we got to play with.
a guy I've made a career in news. I can't even handle hearing the news that's been coming around lately. I've done everything I can with my career. I've built one of the greatest stables of talent in the business.
I can't believe I'm hearing you say this, and you're saying it on the air. I mean, not that I mind, but you've been the guy that has been the guiding light in my career.
I've built radio stations. I don't know if I've made any difference. Have I changed anybody's life? I would say the events of September the 11th answer with a resounding no.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now, okay? It's not your fault.
Phil, I'm not doing very well. I guess I wanted to say goodbye.
Wait a second. You have been good for me. Your input has been good for me. You've been good for my career, okay? And you can't call me up and say, I want to say goodbye. That's overly dramatic. I don't believe that you mean it. I don't want to hear it. You've helped me. You've helped a lot of people.
I haven't done anything.
Yes, you have. David, come here. I want to talk to you for a minute because I can hear you putting the phone down or something.
I haven't done it.
Come here, David. Come back to the phone, all right? If you got his alternate line, call his cell line, okay? Because I can hear him. He's still there. Don't call his cell phone. I think he's on the phone. David, come back to the thing, okay? I want you to come back to the phone, all right? All right, that was a shot. I heard a shot. I heard a gunshot. So, I heard a gunshot. David, do you hear anybody on the line? Would you please call his alternate line, first of all, and forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. Call his alternate line, all right? And do that right now, yeah, without talking to anybody else. I heard a shot. Make sure... No, wait.
Phil?
David, is that you?
Yeah.
What was that I heard?
I was only kidding.
What I heard was a gunshot.
But I'm here.
Well, are you all right?
I told you, I'm only kidding. I didn't shoot myself.
Well, what are you doing?
I was kidding. I didn't shoot myself.
Well, you called up in obvious depression, I thought.
I'm fine. I'm not depressed. But you were buying it, weren't you? Phil?
Yes, I was buying it. What did you do?
This shows you how to break the tension. The great radio theater that comes from it.
Great radio? You faked a suicide on my show.
That's right. I wanted you to do it. You refused.
Of course I refused that. In the middle of what's going on, for me to fake a suicide would be an extremely bad taste.
Well, you were wrong. This cuts the tension. There's people out there that feel better.
Let's just keep in mind what just happened. You came on my show, said you were depressed, had me believing it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then a gunshot. What was that?
It was a sound effect.
What are you, in the studio or something?
No, I'm at home. I'm in my studio at home. But see what I'm saying? This teaches people how not to take life too seriously.
Well, thank you, Captain Kangaroo.
Hey, look, don't blame me because you're stupid.
Oh, now I'm stupid. What about the people who are scared? You know the frayed nerves that are out there? You said it. There's people out there that might have thought you were killing yourself.
Yeah, but now they know it's a joke. They know now that sometimes what you think is bad stuff is actually light comedy.
Oh, well, it's light comedy now.
You know, you think you're the only guy who writes comedy around here. Well, excuse me, Chris Rock.
You could have scared somebody.
Well, if I scared somebody, they don't know how to laugh at life.
You could have freaked some people out.
Then they don't know how to laugh at life.
Fake a suicide, scare everybody to death, then tell him or her to look at the bright side.
You got to start getting this audience together. They're too serious.
And you were only kidding.
That's right. Give out the phone number and do your show and quit being dramatic.
You were the guy that comes on here.
Give out the phone number. Give out the phone number.
1-800-449-8686. Worked with wild animals in his capacity both as a kind of a wrangler, huh?
It was horrible. dresses their dog up in sunglasses and puts a bandana. I think the humiliation that these people who are so-called animal lovers heap upon their animals only causes even more pain. And I have said, and I will go up to people and say, what you're doing to that animal is more cruel than anything that I could possibly do. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, Phil. There's a guy who rides a motorcycle in our neighborhood where I live up in Lancaster who has a dog that he keeps in a jump seat in his motorcycle, or sometimes he has a dog sitting on a seat. I followed this guy to it was a fast food place, one of these Mexican food places, and I said to him, why do you do that to that animal? Well, he says to me, mind your own business. I said, I will tell you that animal is being hurt by you, putting him on the back of your motorcycle, sticking him in a little basket on the front, putting him, having a hat on him, and I think it would be better if you just put that animal out of its misery and put it down. And
what do you mean, put it down?
I mean, these animals that have been treated by their owners in a way that is almost perverse are no good to anybody after that. And so it's better that you take them to a veterinarian, and there are a number of them in the phone book, and I would suggest that you check your local American Veterinary Hospital Association to find out where they are, so that the animal can be euthanized and put out of its misery. But don't talk to me about saving a kid from being eaten. Okay?
Well, wait. You talking about the people who put, like, bandanas and sunglasses on their dogs and cats?
That's exactly what I'm saying. They are more cruel to that animal than anybody that burns one with a cigarette or throws it out of a truck. I'll give you an example, Phil. I got a very dear friend of mine who works here with the...
Wait. How do you... I don't want to interrupt you or anything.
Go ahead. I can answer any question you got. I've made a lifelong study of this, okay? And I can tell you that I believe in the rights of animals, so much so that I'm willing to kill them. Okay?
And I want to get to the heart of that rather contradictory, in my opinion, contradictory sentiment. When someone puts a hat on a cat or a dog or a bandana, you say that's cruel to the animal.
Yes, sir, it is.
Why?
Well, I think it's I don't think anybody who has ever suffered having their pants fall down in the middle of a party, or being told their fly's wide open, or being told that, saying something rude like, excuse me, did you just cut that fart? And pardon me for saying that. I don't think you have to take
anybody else that does this for a living, the thinker in the Republican Party. California, personal tale.
Well, Phil, it's a tale that needed to be told. I think we are aware of a ever-increasing percentage of domestic abuse in this country, but I don't think that people are aware technically of what men have been through, and that's why I felt I needed to write this book.
There are organizations, though, aren't there? And there have been books written before about men who have suffered domestic abuse, correct?
There have been, and I think they have to a point. I think they have collected the data, and they have been as coherent as possible. But mine is a personal odyssey, Phil. It's a personal sojourn. The one that I embarked
on. I'm going to do Ted Bell. I don't know if anybody likes Ted Bell here. Ted Bell has a steakhouse in Beverly Hills. I don't remember this bit. It's having to do with spousal abuse, I think. So that's the topic of today. Here it is.
One 1-800-449-8686. And now, Phil Hendry.
Ted's of Beverly Hills Steakhouse. Come on down.
This portion of the Phil Hendry Show brought to you by Ted's of Beverly Hills Steakhouse. For a good steak at a reasonable price, go to Ted's of Beverly Hills.
Here at Ted's, we want to put our meat in your mouth.
I am joined by Ted Bell from Ted's of Beverly Hills. All I know, Ted, is that my producer, Janice Ungaro, said that you didn't want to come on the air today because something had happened, and then you called back.
Well, I feel that I had a commitment to your program, Phil.
What happened? I mean, I know it's something.
I don't know what. The professionals that I talk to say that it is good to talk about these things. And so in the spirit of that, I'm working today. I'm trying to go about my life as normally as I can.
Look, it doesn't sound to me like you're ready to talk on the air about whatever this was that happened.
I think I need to. And if you just give me a moment, Phil, and I apologize and I ask the indulgence of your audience. I have been a successful businessman. I've been happily married. This past Saturday, my wife, Marianne, and I celebrated our 19th wedding anniversary. I've owned a restaurant in Southern California for 20 years. We were celebrating our 19th. Our son Josh was at his grandparents'.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. We had a beautiful room over at the Four Seasons in Santa Barbara. We ordered champagne. We began to make love. We were engaging in lovemaking, and at one point, and I'm not sure exactly when it happens because these things happen so quickly, Phil.
I understand.
The next thing I know, I felt her finger trying to go up.
Her finger was what?
She tried to put her finger up there. All I remember then was I wrapped a sheet around myself. I ran from the room. It was raining. I just leaned against the wall of the bungalow and I wept. I wept and I cried. She found me and she tried to wrap a blanket around me, but as her hand went around behind me, I thought she was going to try and go for me there again. And
do you feel that you were assaulted by your wife?
Yes, I do, and I did speak to the police about that.
You called the police?
Obviously, I had to be responsible, and I did. When you are laying in bed in a vulnerable position with the one person on this earth that you love and you trust, you're making love on your 19th wedding anniversary, and then she tries to directly violate my back butt area. I can tell you, I'm still shaking. I just...
Now, Ted, I need to just slow... You called the police, okay?
Yes, sir. Phil, you got to understand something. My wife was trying to do something to me that is a violation of me as a man. She was trying to stick her finger up the most vulnerable area that a man has.
All right, I'm going to give our phone number out, Ted, because I know that...
The doctor I spoke to said that it's good to speak about these things.
All right, hold on. Get a glass of water, okay?
All right.
Ted Bell is with us. Over the weekend, he and his wife were making love, and apparently she attempted to put her finger... I'm still getting this info because I don't want to be insensitive to Mr. Bell, but at the same time... Our number is 1-800-449-8686.
I got the water, Phil.
All right, hold on. 1-800-449-8686. We're talking to Ted Bell. I guess what I need to...
Phil, what you need to understand, and I guess what every man needs to know, I think that so many of us have suffered silently. And I think there are some things that all men need to know. If your wife tries to violate you with her finger up there, 3 things you need to know. Remain calm. Keep an emergency phone number near the bed. Number 2, slide out of the bed quietly but quickly so as not to enrage her. And number 3, check for any bleeding. Women, in order to increase the pain, will use the ring finger. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and you don't have to believe me, but...
Can I interrupt you?
Go ahead.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but... How do you know she wasn't trying to make you feel better?
No. You're kidding, right? I'm shocked that a man would ask that question.
Well, I mean,
first of all, it's completely normal for a man to do that to a woman. That's completely sexually normal. All of the manuals, all of the textbooks, and all of the psychologists agree. A man may put his finger there on a woman. or anything else. That's normal and it's healthy. But when a woman tries to do it to a man, that is tantamount to homosexual rape, and it has to be dealt with. And I'll tell you something else.
How do you know? I mean...
Why are you arguing with me?
Well, I don't mean to argue with you.
I was traumatized this past weekend by the one person that I trust in this world.
Well, I'm just asking, how do you know?
Why did she use her ring finger? Why did she use the ring finger? And let me tell you something, Phil. I don't know whether it's something that, and I don't want to insult you. Is this something you're used to? And
I'm not going to comment on that one way or the other. Okay? No, I'll say that I'm not.
Well, neither am I. Okay? And a finger, it might as well be a railroad train. Now they use the ring finger because they want to create pain. And why do women want to create that kind of pain in a man? To get back at them for all of the political suffering and being told that they got to stay in the kitchen. Now, I am saying this to all the men listening to your program.
I understand.
Protect yourself and protect your wife. Did you see the crying game, Phil?
The crying game?
Yes. When the man vomited?
When he found out that the girl was a guy?
Right. That was me in the shower on Saturday night. I was stunned.
Well, the police, they didn't file charges, did they?
No, they didn't. I didn't want them to. I guess it was a knee-jerk reaction. I don't recommend that men call the police when their wives do that.
Would you say that when a woman does that to a man, it's always hostile?
It's always hostile. I don't think always consciously hostile. See, every single woman that ever tried to put her finger up there on a man, that's hostile. She's tried to create pain, and she's saying that she hates him on some level. But she may not consciously know this.
And I want to just get back to the one thing you said, and I know that you're the victim here.
I am the victim, Phil. I'm not a doctor, and when you ask me these questions, I'm confused. Okay, just my head's swimming.
All right, I understand. I'm sorry.
It hurts. It's hurt for 3 days.
Did you go to a doctor?
Yes, I did. He said there was some tearing, but I don't know whether she's trying to get in touch with her masculine side by piercing a man that way. I don't know what it is. But what I'm told by doctors is that when a man does that to a woman, that's normal. In fact, it's very healthy, and most heterosexual couples engage in it regularly, almost nightly.
All right, I know you've been traumatized. Let me, 1-800-449-8686. Mary Ann, go ahead. Ted Bell is with us. This is the Phil Hendry Show.
Oh, hi, Phil. Mr.
Yes,
Bell, I am definitely a woman, a heterosexual woman, and you are totally twisted in your perceptions thinking that what's
excuse me,
okay.
I was violated Saturday night
by
an individual that I trust and I love.
Sir, you've had the benefit of being on the air exposing your comments.
Can I make one other statement and then I'll let you say something? I was the one that was physically violated. Why do you allow her to come on the air and insult me?
Oh, no, it's not that. How could your wife physically violate you with an activity that you deem appropriate to do to a woman?
Because women like it. Okay,
not necessarily.
Well, look at Marianne. I will do you the great respect of not asking you how much you like it, okay? But let's between you and me, you probably enjoy it, all right? And what I'm saying,
you can't say that about her.
But I'm not on the radio crying about it.
Ma'am, I was violated by my own wife as I lay there vulnerably on Saturday night thinking she was going to do one thing, and the next thing I know, she's trying to ram it up there.
Hey, variety is the spice.
Oh, really? Well, maybe if one of your girlfriends gets raped in a parking lot some night, I'll say, variety's the spice. And
I hardly think this is akin to a parking lot rape.
Well, I do.
Yeah, I
think it is. It's the same as a parking lot rape.
Oh,
a parking lot rape, your wife...
Are you arguing with me? I went to the doctor. There was bleeding.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I know that if you can prove your wife assaulted you with her finger that way and there was bleeding, the police should have made her an arrest.
Well, that I don't understand. Because I went to the doctor. He said there'd been some tearing. There was residual bleeding down my thigh when I took a shower Sunday morning.
Oh, that's right. Well, hello?
Yeah, I'm right here. Go ahead and laugh, Marianne. Maybe women like to do that to men in Springfield. I don't know.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
And if my wife had used all of her fingers, it would have been a gang rape. And I can tell you there was an imprint of a cubic zirconia on my rim. And
Okay. Hold on. I don't know how to deal with this, okay? On the one hand, it's obviously he's in pain. On the other hand, we've got some controversy. Ted Bell is with us. He called the police out to his hotel room Saturday night when his wife tried to put her finger up his you-know-what, as he says. And he says that was an assault. He ran from the room crying. She found him in a pouring downpour with just a sheet wrapped around him, pounding his fist against the stucco wall of a bungalow. And now he is telling men that if women do that to you, it's an assault. But if men do it to women, it's completely sexually normal and preferable by many heterosexual couples. I don't know. Our number is 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show.
One 1-800-449-8686. And now, Phil Hendry.
Ted. Are you there, Ted?
I'm right here, yeah.
All right, by the way, our program is brought to you by Ted's of Beverly Hills, and we'll go ahead and run the commercial if you...
I just want to get a glass of water.
All right, our program brought to you in part by Ted's of Beverly Hills.
Ted's of Beverly Hills Steakhouse, come on down.
Ted's of Beverly Hills sponsoring this portion of the Phil Hendry Show. Ted has asked me not to mention that his wife raped him on Saturday night. Is that the copy he wanted me to read? Because I'm sorry.
We want to put our meeting.
Well, anyway, I did not intend that for the air.
I'm sorry, but there's something. Please don't mention that I was raped on Saturday night. Is what the.
I didn't want it in the body of my commercial.
Then it's my mistake.
Yeah. Well.
I can only say, Ted, that, and I'm not trying to belittle what happened to you. We've had people questioning your sanity. We've had people ask whether this is...
Phil, no man, including you, and I'll ask you point blank, you want your wife putting it up there? Huh?
I'm not going to answer that.
The reason why you won't answer that is because you know as well as I do that when a man feels something trying to go up there, he questions his sexuality, he questions his sanity, he questions the love that his wife may have for him, he questions who and what he is.
What about gay guys?
Gay guys are a whole different... I'm talking about straight men in normal heterosexual relationships. No, there may be a planet where that's cool. This isn't the one.
All right, 1-800-449-8686. What happened was you and your wife were making love. She tried to put her...
I think my wife, Marianne, needs to go to some sort of rehab. I honestly believe that she tried, in trying to put her finger up my rear end, I think there needs to be some professional counseling.
All right, you consider it an assault. Here is Doreen on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
I would have felt some sympathy for you if you hadn't said
I can't
that.
hear you, Doreen. Could you speak up, please?
If you hadn't said
I can't hear the caller.
That it was okay for a woman. Why is it okay for a woman, but not for a man?
Look, I don't know if you've seen professionally done adult films, but in them you'll often see the man inserting things that way, and the women are always enjoying it. And
those are actresses in a movie.
All right, so in other words, they don't like it. They're just going, oh yeah, and it really hurts. Is that it?
No, I think you made a really good point. Can I point out something that you said?
Yes, ma'am.
You said that it makes you question your sexuality. Do you think maybe that's what's going on here?
No, I don't. I think what's going on here is, well, I don't know. What do you think's going on here?
I think that might be what's going on. I think we're questioning your sanity and you're questioning your sexuality.
Why did she do that?
Maybe
Let's talk about my wife. Let's talk about my wife.
Wait a minute. Maybe
I have been walking with a limp since Saturday night.
Wouldn't it have been enough to just tell her that it made you uncomfortable and not gone through with...
I have been walking with a limp since Saturday night. All right, so what I'm trying to say to you, Doreen, and again, the doctor said there was tearing and bleeding.
I'm
All right, so
sorry
what
that
are you
there's
saying?
tearing.
Your wife...
And any woman that does this to a man, I think, needs some kind of counseling, and certainly the man does. But yes, it is normal for men to do that to women.
Are you wondering now
All
about
right,
yourself?
and so, Doreen, I don't have any more answers for your questions. I would just simply return to your marriage and try not to do this to your husband anymore.
I've already
she
done
never
it. He
said
loved
that...
it.
You loved it,
No,
and that's
he
the key.
loved it.
No, he doesn't
never went
love
to the doctor or to the police.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because I live with him.
Yeah. Well, how do you know he didn't go to the doctor? I think you're lying.
No, I'm telling
Play
the
the
truth.
commercial again.
I'm wondering about you.
I wonder about my wife's sexuality.
Turn that off, please.
No, play it.
Turn it off. I don't want to hear it again.
There are places.
All
you
right,
go.
thanks, Doreen. 1-800-449-8686. We're with Ted from Ted's of Beverly Hills Steakhouse. His wife and he celebrated their 19th wedding anniversary. Now, you...
Let's say something, Phil, because there's an awful lot that's going on here that I don't quite get. I got people telling me that that's normal.
Apparently, some of the call...
Normal? So a guy's supposed to lay there. Let me just see if I... Should I put my ankles behind my ears, too? Huh? Hey, all you guys out there that think that that's normal, and all of you...
Well, a lot of the women seem to think that it's normal.
Well, the women think it's normal, huh? Well, if they think it's normal, then they can have someone put a railroad train up there. I don't need it. I suffered it.
Well, I honestly wish that there was something that I could do or say to help you through this, but I guess there isn't. And
it didn't feel that bad.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Well, but I'm not saying that it was normal, okay? Look, you got half the men in America walking around with Lee press-on nails stuck up their rear ends, all right? Half the women in America wondering, geez, what happened to that nail? It broke. It's up your husband's rear end.
You ran outside crying?
Yes.
Why?
I was shocked.
Shocked about what?
That it felt as good as it did.
Well, why were you crying?
Because I was cathartic. I'd reached a new level in my life. It felt so good I needed to get away from it and think about it. Plus, I had to use the toilet.
All right, thank you very much. 1-800-449-8686. So there's Ted from Ted's of Beverly Hills. What happened to her Lee press-on nail? Let me just remind you that we are having on December the 21st our first ever Phil Hendry Show webcast, and you can get a backstage pass for our Phil Hendry Show webcast. All you have to do is log on. All you have to do is time now for the show's funniest lines, as chosen by you, our listeners. You go to our website, www.philhenryshow.com. You'll find on the marquee there something that says funniest lines. You go there and check out the lines that people have sent in that they've heard different characters say. And some of them are going to be edited out. Some are funnier than others, but there's some that just give us a chortle. And we hope it does the same. We hope it does the same. We hope it does the same for you. So I got an allergy thing that's been going on. Anybody else with the allergies with this dry California air? It's so difficult living here. The air's so dry. I guess I'll just down to the beach and try to get myself some more humidity. All right, this was said by Rudy Canosa. When was your last pork chop inhalation? Did you even wait for the pig to die? These are the questions I ask myself. When was your last pork chop inhalation? Did you even wait for the pig to die? These are the questions I ask myself. I just had a thought. You know, Wheel of Fortune would be a lot more fun if they had these phrases. Jesus hung from a cross, and there in the... Jesus hung from a cross, and there in the backyard buttering the corn. Steve Bozell. A cat wouldn't. A cat wouldn't give you the sweat off its balls if you were on. If you were on fire, Dr. Jim Sadler. It's John Leguizamo on fire in the middle of the Pacific Coast Highway. Never mind, it's just a pile of burning... Never mind, it's just a pile of burning garbage. Margaret Gray. He said he was going to fix my son a sandwich, and instead he put him in a dog crate. Carol Markham, Bob Green's girlfriend. How are you going to feel when your daughter's hair is being used as stuffing for some pervert's pillow? Bobby Dooley. Ask Mommy to scoop you an extra helping of dumb tonight. Vernon Dozier. And, of course, we remember R.C. Collins' famous line, I have phantom nut. I know women that will forgive cheating for a short stack of pancakes. Dean Wheeler. That was a famous one that we always go back on. I guess I sucked it all the way to the testicle area. They were resting on my chin. What the hell? Steve Bozell with a penis popsicle. Oh, yeah, I remember that. See, Steve's wife, for a bachelorette party, got these popsicles that looked like a male member, and they were still in the icebox, and Steve was hot one day mowing the lawn, so he went in and grabbed one. He didn't know what it was, so he's there sucking on it, and his next-door neighbor, Roy Hutchins, leans over the fence and says something like, you know, man, you're looking pretty good today or something. Then Steve realizes what it was, so he's going to sue his wife. Maybe you don't understand how much we desire peace in Afghanistan. Have you ever heard the sweet song that comes from the rear end when entered? Oh! Dean Wheeler.
I do have gay friends, lesbian women, and they do invite you to parties, and they do want you to get into the hot tub or whatever the party is calling for, and it does make me a little uncomfortable. I think that needs to be pointed out.
All right, let's go over to Montclair on KFI AM 640. Hello?
This lady is a kook.
No, I'm talking about something that needs to be talked about.
We're not doing anything to your neighborhood. I mean, we're everywhere. We're tax-paying citizens. What kind of dues were you talking about that I have to pay?
Let me ask you a question. Are you out? You are out.
Yeah, I'm way out.
All right, you're way out. I noticed it took gay men to get you there.
That it took gay men to get me where?
They were the ones that opened up the gay rights, not the dykes, not the butch girls. The gay men were the ones that fought the police.
I think it's society.
What difference does that make?
None.
You say the gay men fought the fight. Yeah, they did fight the fight. There were a lot of men who, the Gay Liberation Front, I guess, was primarily male.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely. And they're the ones that really opened it up. Now here comes a flood of dykes following in.
That's right.
Following through the door.
I mean, we all suffer together.
Oh, please.
In the workplace, yes, I work for Disney, but, I mean, in the workplace, my workplace is accepting.
Disney hires nothing but fags.
Disney hires nothing but fags.
Watch the language, okay?
Well, it's true.
Well, what is true?
Out of your mind?
No, excuse me. Tell me I'm lying when I tell you that Disney has a higher than normal proportion of homosexual employees. Tell me I'm lying.
No, they do. So
with
every other studio.
Excuse me?
With every other studio, you got Warner Brothers, you got everybody.
I wasn't talking about Warner. I mean the amusement park. All of those young men that help you with their bags, all of the guys that work there in the hotels, all of the guys that work in public relations and in press relations, all of them.
Are you insane?
No.
We pay taxes.
I don't know. I don't know how you could possibly quantify that.
The characters all fags.
The characters are all fags.
What I'm saying is that you've got a higher percentage.
So what if they do? So what if Disney hires a lot of homosexuals? So what? Okay.
I mean, we deserve rights like everyone else. We want to go to Palm Springs. I enjoy going to Palm Springs. It's a blast.
It's a wonderful time to sit there in the hot tub with all of your friends. Why are hotels only registering women?
Hey, at some point or the other, we have to have our day.
All right, I think I need to ask the question because this woman won't come out and say it, Phil. What would happen if Mr. Henry walked into one of your all-girl hotels this week at the diner?
What, am I going to get beaten up or something?
Well, I'd like to know what would happen.
Nothing. We would look
that
and
is
say,
such a lie.
Nothing would happen to him. Nobody's
Are you telling me that if Phil Henry or some heterosexual men sauntered into the middle of your big lesbian festival there, that he wouldn't be resented?
No, he wouldn't.
I mean, we're regular folks. Come on, lady. It's not like we have the plague or anything.
It angers me that you can't be honest with me. It really angers me.
I'm here with my lover.
Well, wait a minute. What do you think is going to happen if I walk in? First of all, why do I want to walk into the middle of a lesbian festival?
You might want to go.
If you come to the Dinah Shore, Phil, every restaurant, every hotel, every bar, every hot tub, dykes everywhere.
Do you want to talk to this psycho? My lover is here, and she's like, has this person ever been with, have you ever been with a woman?
Have I ever what?
Been with a woman in the biblical sense.
I have prayed. I am a Christian, and I've prayed with gay women.
You have prayed with them?
Yes.
Then what is your problem with gay women?
My problem is that you are overt, and you are out, and you're all over the place with your leather, and you're all over the place with your the way you walk, the legs far apart.
So is it a jealousy thing? I mean, are you ashamed that we promote the leather thing only, and that's something you wish you could do? I mean, what is it? You said something about us paying our dues. Do you have to pay dues in order to be a heterosexual?
That's a great point.
Do you have to pay dues in order to be with a man? So why should I have to pay dues in order to be with a woman?
That's a damn good point.
It's not the same thing.
No, that's what you said. The lady's making a good point. I mean, no, just because to be who you are, why do you have to pay dues?
Exactly. I mean, we're all human. We're all equal. Why do I have to pay dues in order to be with a woman, but you don't have to pay dues in order to be with a man?
So, in other words, you're going to go to the Dinah Shore this week, and you're going to be all out there.
I am out everywhere I go. I love women.
And you're going to be, oh, God.
You don't have a problem loving men, so why should I have a problem loving women? And why is it that you don't have a problem with gay men, but you have a problem with lesbians?
Well, I will tell you that I'm definitely offended that you're coming on to me. I can tell.
I would not.
Wait a second.
Myself.
You are coming on. Phil,
You're making an ass out of yourself now.
Yes,
the lady
you
is.
are.
No,
my girlfriend is not coming on to you.
I don't know. I've seen them gathered together, and it bothers me. Is that so wrong?
Well, you know, it's not wrong, but open your big fat mouth and say, we all here in Rancho Mirage think they ought to keep their mouths shut, and they can't.
Do you have the piercings?
Now, who's coming on to who?
I just want to know. I mean, it's...
Who's coming on to who? What does that have to do with anything?
I wanted to ask you guys...
can I read something to you, Phil?
All right, go ahead.
This is from this Deliciously Dinah...
Delicious.
Yes, and it's Diane Katz writing in the Lesbian News. Now, if anything gives you the message, dykes are welcome, it's the Lesbian News doing a Dinah guide.
That's true. That's true.
Girl bar and club skirts. This is Diane Katz writing in Deliciously Dinah. Girl bar and club skirts are renowned to host some of the wildest and most popular dance and pool parties in the desert. Every year at this time, women swarm to these parties like honeybees. Can you believe that?
And what's wrong with that, though?
Oh, pool parties.
And heterosexuals don't have pool parties?
I don't know what you're referring to, but we don't keep gay people out.
Well, everyone is welcome. It's not strictly for gays. It's not strictly for lesbians. Everyone is welcome.
I had a gay friend, and she invited me to dinner, and I thought she was being inappropriate.
Because she invited you to dinner?
I thought, no, that her behavior, physical behavior, was a bit inappropriate.
So if a heterosexual woman invites another heterosexual woman, that's okay. But because I sleep with a woman, if I invite you to dinner, then I'm being inappropriate.
I don't think the touching and this sort of thing. And we went to her home after dinner, and it continued.
Why are you going to her home if she's touching you through dinner?
Because there were some papers that I had to get. I belong to a parent organization.
Is that the only thing you were looking to get?
I beg your pardon. I went to her home, and she continued. Well, the next morning...
But you stayed, correct?
Because I needed to get these things, and she invited me to...
And she couldn't bring them out to the car to you. You had to go in to get them, even though she had been touching you throughout dinner.
I will tell you...
So again, was the papers the only thing you were looking for when you went in there?
I'm not a lesbian.
You sure there was not a bit of curiosity in there?
I'm not a lesbian whore. But the things that she did to me...
You sound as if you're bitter because a woman turned you down.
The things she did to me, I did not appreciate.
So you allowed her to do things
What did she do to you?
You consider yourself a heterosexual woman.
I am very heterosexual. I love my husband very much, and I have 3 sons, thank you very much. But what she did to me, it conflicted me.
How were you conflicted? Did you like it?
I don't like the fact that she had that much power over me.
What did she do to you?
I don't think I'm prepared to
Oh,
Sweetheart, come out the closet. Come out the closet. Why don't you come to that pool
I am not
party?
in the closet. I am as straight as... She removed my shirt.
You allowed her to remove it, though, correct?
Excuse me.
Wait a second. If that went on, you allowed her to do that.
I did not allow her. I did not allow her.
She ripped your shirt off?
She removed it and the brassiere.
And you didn't allow this, so you didn't stop her?
Ma'am, I will tell you that throughout I kept saying, please don't do that. Please
You didn't leave?
I'm sorry?
You didn't leave?
I was trying to get up.
You wasn't trying too hard if she got your bra off.
My legs just couldn't move.
Oh, your legs were weak, so you were weak with passion, correct?
I really don't want to talk about this anymore. What I'm trying to say...
Wait a second. It sounds to me like you were seduced, right?
I was not.
You were.
My legs were spread so far apart it was hard to stand.
Oh,
Jesus.
Off of one of the news wires, and we got a little bit of the police report. A 68-year-old man was discovered inside the Desert College of Alhambra, which is a junior college. He had broken into one of the art classes and had vandalized one of the art pieces that was worked on by one of the students. It was an art piece that had been worked on by that man's wife. And we have that gentleman on the phone from Alhambra this evening. Hi, is this Lloyd?
Yes, Lloyd Bonafide, Phil. How are you?
Good. You sound no worse for spending the night in jail?
No, I'm all right. And I did what I felt was necessary, and I don't think I would have been a man had I not did it.
Well, let me tell the audience what you did. Your wife is enrolled in an art class at the Desert College there, right?
My wife is enrolled in a class where allegedly she took painting and painting and sculpture, and she went once a week to this class.
Who was the professor?
Well, there were two. There was a Bollinger, William Bollinger. Bill Bollinger was the art class on Friday nights, and he would alternate with a woman. I don't know her name.
All right, now your wife has taken an art class there, and she was also doing sculpture, clay sculpture?
Yeah, they had a model come in. And this guy is some 55, 56-year-old guy, and he would model in the nude for the people in the class. And I objected to this. And my wife said that it was something that they did, because you have to understand, I'm in a heating and plumbing business. I don't know anything about art, and I wanted my wife to be happy. We're empty nesters. We had 2 kids move out about 5 years ago, so we're just trying to do the best thing that we can. And
all right, so your wife's taken an art class, and she was painting or sculpting this guy?
She did a sculpture of this guy. And she did some sketches of him. And I looked in her sketchbook, and this guy was abnormally endowed. And I questioned the validity of an art class where this guy comes in, a male model that they hire, who is abnormally endowed, and they've got senior citizen females doing paintings and sculptures, clay sculptures of him. I also incidentally found out that he had asked my wife out for coffee. And
all right, that's the part I want to get to, because you told the arresting officers that this guy, you suspected him of being predatory towards your wife?
Right, my wife told me he had asked her out for coffee. And
naturally, your wife declined, right?
Yeah, my wife declined, but when I got a look at the sketch of this guy, he was a model in her art class, I got a look at it. He was abnormally large, and also that she had done a clay sculpture. That's when I had a blackout.
Okay, let's go back. You confronted your wife with the fact that she had drawn these pictures of this guy, even though you knew she was in an art class, and that this guy is the model, right?
I told her I saw her sketches.
Okay, and hold on, and she showed you the sketches of this guy, Now, what happened, Lloyd? What caused you to, as you say, black out and wake up in the classroom of this college? First of all, let me ask you something. Have you had a physical? Do you have any kind of epilepsy or anything?
No, I do not. I don't have any kind of illness like that.
Because your wife said that she not only drew a picture of this guy, that she did a clay sculpture. That somehow triggered something.
Yes, the doctor said I had an episode. What happened was this male model, who I again have to tell you is abnormally large, endowed, she did a clay sculpture. Now, it's one thing to paint a picture. It's something else entirely to do a clay sculpture of a guy who's got one like that. And as soon as she told me she had done a clay sculpture of him, I blacked out. And I woke up in the classroom.
You had driven all the way to the school. You broke into the classroom, right?
Yes, I did.
And you broke off part of that sculpture.
Well, the police officer, I came around when I had a flashlight in my face, and the police officer said I was holding the thing in my hand.
The abnormally large part of this guy, you were holding the sculpture in your hand.
The hangy thing was in my right hand, yes, sir.
Do you think you need a doctor, or...
No, I don't think I need a doctor. I was angry at this guy who's well endowed asking my wife out for coffee, and then she tells me that she's doing a sculpture. I have to tell you that I am a donor to KCET Television and to the local Alhambra Art Museum. I give money to KCRW Radio. I am an art lover, and I will tell you that by an abnormally endowed male model letting him into a painting and sculpture class for senior citizens is not art, and I don't think our tax money should be supporting it. I think it's absurdity, and it's the very thing that Robert Mapleton did all over, and I won't let the Desert College of Alhambra use in their painting and sculpture classes male models with penises the size of water buffaloes, when in point of fact...
All right, hold on. You're upset because your wife did a clay sculpture of this guy, but you vandalized the classroom.
I got angry. Yes, I did, and I admit that. But any normal man would have done the same thing. Any normal man...
Were you threatened by this guy?
He asked my wife out, and he was abnormally large.
I got that already, man. You've told us that, and you busted into the classroom. I mean, first of all, to black out and to drive all the way to a classroom and break into it, and then when you came to, the police have a flashlight in your face, and you broke off the clay penis. Isn't that what you did?
I broke it off, yeah, and I had it in my hand.
What do you think that was all about? Tell me about it, Lloyd.
Well, I don't think there's anything more significant about it than the fact that she's, I don't think it's the right thing for them to do.
You think there's a little jealousy going on there?
No, sir.
Your wife is loyal to you.
My wife is loyal, yeah.
So for you, it was all about obscenity.
For me, it was an obscenity to have a male model in a classroom for senior citizen women who are a lot more socially delicate than a lot of these young women.
And you got angry and you drove down there and busted into the class.
And I'm sorry that I did that, and I told the arresting officers that I didn't mean to cause them undue difficulty, but I just got angry. You see?
All right, I'm going to give our phone number out here. Lloyd Bonafide is with us. He's owns a heating and plumbing business in Alhambra. His wife's in an art class, and they had a male model come in, and apparently Lloyd didn't like the dimensions on this guy because his wife did a sculpture of him and painted a picture of him, and so he apparently blacked out, drove down to the art class, and vandalized, busted off, the sculpture. 1-800-449-8686 is our number. And Lloyd, you seem like a nice guy.
Well, you know what I wanted to tell you. I'm a Korean War veteran. I've owned a business in this country for a long time. I love my community. I would never hurt anybody. But I'll tell you, I'm a veteran. And there's certain things that I don't want to see. First of all, I don't want to see my wife get my wife be abused. And secondly...
But this isn't abuse, man. This is a classroom for art that she took willingly.
Yeah, but you know something? She's a senior citizen, and you don't show nude men to a woman her age. You just don't do it.
You don't show...
Well, she's married to you. I'm sure that you take your clothes off in front of her.
No, but I'm talking about nude young men. You show a nude young man to a woman 60 years of age or older, and tumors can form, heart palpitations, a lot of things happen to these poor old gals when they see some young stud. Suddenly, blood vessels dilate, eyes fog over, their hearing goes, they get weak muscularly, and that's what I was talking about.
You were in fear of the health of your wife, that she saw a nude guy and she was going to have palpitations or a heart attack.
I thought, especially the way this guy was endowed, yeah. It was all over.
All over for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Feet up in the air.
All right. 1-800-449. I got you, Lloyd, okay?
So are we going to go and do a talk show?
Yeah, hold on for a minute. 1-800-449-8686 is our number. Lloyd, fearing for his wife's health, didn't want a nude model in her painting class for fear that she'd pass out or have a heart attack or her eyes would fog over. 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show. Phil Hendry Show, 1-800-449-8686. This is Lloyd Bonifay. He owns a heating and plumbing business in Alhambra. He broke into a art classroom at the Desert College in Alhambra where his wife takes an art class to vandalize a sculpture. Now, you say that the male model, Lloyd, are you there?
I'm right here, sir, yes.
All right. You say that the male model was abnormally well endowed.
Yes.
Did you meet this man?
No, sir, I did not meet him. I saw my wife's sketches of him.
Okay, now let me ask you something, because this could be pivotal, okay?
You have to understand, my wife is an elderly person.
Hold on, because I think it's pivotal. The dimensions, according to the police, of the clay model that your wife was working on, the dimension of the clay model was 12 inches high.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Police officers say that the well-endowed appendage, if you will, was 7.5 inches long on the clay model.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, that means if you were to, on a normal-sized man, that would mean his would have to be 4 feet long.
Yes, sir, well, I don't know about the police officers told me that, and that's what got me shocked.
Well, there's no guy with it 4 feet long. My theory is that your wife, while probably a very nice lady and maybe someday a good artist, got the dimensions wrong because she had... I've taken art classes. One of the things...
Oh, wait. Phil, you have to understand something.
No, hold. You understand that their model had a 7.5-inch long thing on it. That means if it was a normal-sized guy, it would be 4 feet long. You understand that?
Yeah, and that's what I don't think they should show that to an older woman.
And I don't think they did. I think your wife doesn't have dimension in her mind the way most young art students do not. Beginning art students, the first thing that they have a hard time with is trying to get proportion.
Well, I don't know what the hell you're trying to say.
Well, I know, but if you could understand proportion, you may understand that maybe this guy is like normal, but your wife exaggerated it for whatever reason.
Oh, so what's that mean? I got one the size of a thumb, and she hopes that she's...
No, it doesn't mean that at all. What it means is that she might have just not had good sense in terms of proportion as an art student. Let me take a call here. Lucerne Valley on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I'd like to talk to Floyd in regards to this.
Yes, sir.
Floyd, in our school, they teach them that this is art. This is not pornography. This is not for anything sexually aroused.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure that the elderly senior citizens, females, have families and husbands and have been exposed to this type of art or physical closeness with their husbands.
Yes, sir.
And, if they didn't like it, they have the opportunity to put down their brushes and their clay and walk out.
Well, sir, my point is
I think I can understand your point.
Yeah.
but I think you were wrong in doing this.
Well, sir, let me make this point. I don't think you show a senior citizen woman some guy that's hung like a Kansas City steer. You just don't do that in a decent society.
Well, you know, years ago, my father went to art school, and I was a very young lad.
Yes, sir.
And he took me to art school, and this woman walked out, quite voluptuous and quite young, and dropped her robe, and she was totally nude.
Yeah.
And as a child, I began to giggle. And my father just reprimanded me something fierce and told me that it was nothing but art and to look at it that way.
Oh, well, I think
if you want to look at art in pictures or sculpture, anywhere you go and see something that is dirty or pornographic, then you've got a problem.
Well, let me ask you this. You walk into a bathroom stall in any major baseball stadium in America, and generally someone has scrawled with a Swiss Army knife an appendage the size of a Polish sausage. Is that art?
Their intelligence is about the size of a microbe.
Right, but do you call that art? Of course you don't. That's what I'm talking.
That is pornography. That is dirt.
Well, wait a minute.
That has no bearing on what you're.
So there's my wife.
To.
So there's my wife with her tongue hanging out of her head, gleefully drawing some guy's endowment like it's a vine hanging from a grape tree.
Well, now, how do you know that your wife's tongue was hanging out of her head?
Oh, well, come on.
You're drawing a conclusion that you don't even know nothing about.
She's sitting there with her robe half open, scrawling some large thing hanging between a guy's legs, and...
Wait a minute. Wait, I gotta... how do you know that?
Well, I don't know, but God, come on.
Well, now, wait a minute. What is she doing in art school with her robe on half open?
Well, no, she's at home. Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, too. That's a good question, too. She's got her tongue hanging out of her head.
Well, then how do you know that she's not thinking of you while she's scolding this guy?
No, not the size of this thing. She ain't thinking of me.
Oh, I see. We have a problem here then.
That's what I was saying. It's a jealousy. It's a jealousy thing, isn't it?
Hold on. Wait a minute. Both of you guys back up because I'm a Korean War veteran.
I don't care what you are, sir.
Don't piss me off, okay?
Oh, wow. Now we're hitting home there, Lloyd.
What are we? Now what are you talking about? You going to take both of us out?
Let me tell you. Both you guys were standing in front of me. I'd take 2 shots to both of your Adam's apples. You'd be on the floor.
Oh.
I got you.
I see what it, Mr. Henry. I see what.
What about that model? What would you do with it?
Jealousy thing, and he's afraid his wife's going to dump him for the younger guy.
You know, if you were standing in front of me, I'd slap you. Laughing at me, huh?
Yeah, to coin a phrase there, Mr. Henry, tell him to hang in there, guy. Things will get worse.
How dare you say hang in there?
I'm out of there, bud.
How dare you use the word hang?
I'll take the rest of the comment off the air.
Okay, so
on the air.
In other words, that you're talking about being hung. Yeah, he hung up. He hung up.
You said that.
No, but you made me say it.
Okay. Here is Long Beach on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
What gives this guy the right to say stuff like this?
What gives me the right?
Yeah, what gives you the right?
I'm a Korean War veteran. I fought for this country in Korea, and Mr. Henry's making me say. Mr. Henry made me say, hung up.
It doesn't matter. I could care less what you are.
Well, you asked, so I'm telling you, sweetie.
No, I'm just saying what gives you the right to talk to people like that.
What did I do? All I'm saying is...
Talking about you're going to slap people?
Well, that guy said to me that he thinks I got a little tiny one.
So what?
That's enough to drive me right around the bend, especially
for your wife. She's supposed to do that. She's a student.
Yeah, but you don't draw pictures of some guy that's got one like a baseball bat hanging between the... You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what you're saying.
Well, this guy is...
What difference does it make? She's in an art class.
She's a senior citizen. It could give her a heart attack to see something like that.
Then take her out the class.
I'm allowed to do that? I thought this was women's liberation, where the women get to go out and have cocktails, and they don't have to have the permission of the man.
God, you are so bogus.
Oh, I'm tired.
You okay?
I need a nap.
I'm gone.
Can I come to your house and use your... Hello?
Hello?
I need to use your recliner.
Whatever.
All right, sweetheart.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Phil.
Bye, dear. You there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm laying down.
Okay. Here is Virginia Beach on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
I'm wondering if Lloyd might be a little tipsy tonight.
I'm not tipsy.
You're not tipsy?
No, I've just got a wife who apparently is unhappy with what I can do, the kind of pipe I can lay. She wants some guy that'll bring some heavier lumber to the construction site, if you will.
Well, do you feel a little competition?
Wouldn't you?
No, I don't think I would.
Well,
I do have a question for you, though.
Some lady modeling for your man with a couple of milk cans on her that would...
Okay, thank you very much. Phil Hendry Show, 1-800-449-8686. Just by doing that, the right side of my neck, you know, I got this thing with the vertebrae in my neck, and I go to the chiropractor, and he says, it's popping out, and now it's back in. Do I want a Motrin? You know, I popped 2 Advil. I think I ought to be okay. I got just all messed up all the way up my spine. My lower back, my spine, my neck hurts. It's cool. It's fine. So I can't believe I just heard what you guys were saying. You going to go see The Who at the Hollywood Bowl? Those guys are 112. You guys, you knew...
I was going to say that I think I'm going to take at least a little bit of a break. I haven't slept yet. I think I'm going to walk to the store, maybe the mall, and fag out a little bit. And come out of the closet and be way out, like that girl said earlier. She said she was way out.